Hello, hello, it's Tash and Ro.
Welcome to or welcome back to
It's Saturday,
your personal self-care pod where you can escape the work week and unwind with your two besties.
No matter what day of the week it is, but for us,
It's Saturday. All right, guys, we're joined here again for another Saturday mini, and we're joined with some special guests.
Hi, I'm Shauna.
I'm Hannah.
I'm Reagan.
You've probably heard us talk about them all a million times, but they're here in the flesh, and we're so excited.
First timers.
Woo, you guys are gonna be naturals. We have we have a really cool topic that we're gonna talk about today, and because we're all married or engaged, but at different stages of life. So I've been married for now 3 years. Reagan's newly married for 1 year.
Yeah.
Tasha's getting married in a couple months. These two ladies are getting married next year. So we're going to talk about weddings and all the things that come with being a bride, the pressures of being a bride, and all that fun stuff. So
Yeah, let's get into it.
let's get into it. Okay, first of all, now that me and you are married, we can talk about the types of brides, okay? Because everyone knows Bridezilla, and now there's like the kind of chill bride, but I feel like there's some more bride
DIY
types.
bride,
Yeah.
organized bride. I feel like that's all of us.
Yes, yes. The uninvolved bride. Which
Yeah.
She was like, I don't want to be here. Like,
Alex Cooper.
Yeah.
Yeah. What kind of bride do you think you guys were when you were getting married?
I think I was a chill bride. I intentionally got married at an all-inclusive resort, so I had to do zero planning, and I could show up and enjoy my big day. Yeah. So
You were very chill. I was one of your bridesmaids, and I will say Reagan was super chill. I never saw you flinch like for a second.
yeah, that's good. I was definitely like an organized bride, I think, because by the time the day came like by, I was like, I don't want to do anything. Like, I feel like everyone knows where they're supposed to be,
Yeah.
at what time, at what location, and I just want to chill and enjoy my day. So I feel like I set everything up to have that moment. What about you guys? Like, now you're in the process of like planning, like, how are you feeling? Do you think like you're gonna be Bridezilla?
Yeah, I mean, like Bridezilla has a bad rep.
Yes.
I definitely do not want to be a Bridezilla, but I don't know. When I was reading through like the content, I'm like, I feel like I'm probably gonna be a mix of everything. I don't think I'm gonna fall into like a category.
Yes.
I would hope to be a chill bride, but I just know me, like anxiety. Like once it comes down to like the wire and all the details, I feel like like probably gonna get a little stressed. Hopefully not Bridezilla level, but yeah, hopefully chill.
Why don't they
Hopefully
have
chill.
a Bridezilla equivalent for the groom? Like, why is it only on
Groomzilla?
us?
Because they don't do anything.
they don't do anything. They just show up.
They're like grumpy groomsmen, you know, like they're just like flying at the edge of their seat with whatever their soon-to-be wife says.
Yeah, true.
I hope that I'm like a chill bride. I just want everyone, and I definitely want my bridesmaids not to feel, I think there's like a lot of pressure now where it has to be always perfect, and like the day has to be perfect, and it shouldn't be like that. It should just be about the groom and the bride and how much they love each other. So in a sense, like I definitely think I'll be organized because that's just who I am.
Yep.
But in another sense, I think I'll be just really chilled where I just want my bridesmaids to like, if no one wants to get their hair done, they don't have to. If they don't want to get their makeup done, they don't have to,
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, like no one's going to be like, wow, that girl didn't get her makeup done.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
about
No
that.
one cares.
No one cares. So at the end of the day, I think whatever fits your budget too, and whatever makes you happy, like
Yeah.
at the end of the day, that's all I want. And I just want you to be part of my day. So
Yes.
if that means no hair and makeup done, I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
I want to meet the girl that doesn't want her hair and makeup done, though.
that's like way too chill.
No, but I like what you said, Shauna, about like this whole like everything needs to be perfect expectation. I feel like we put so much pressure on this big day to be like, this has to be the best day of your life. And if it's not
Yeah.
the best day of your life, you're like, I failed in a sense. And now there's like Pinterest, there's all these like social media platforms where you're seeing these extravagant weddings, which are going to cost an arm and a leg. And like now there's like this pressure almost to like meet those expectations. And so I think like we need to be more realistic with like what you can afford,
Definitely.
and budget is a big
Yeah, I think Instagram, it's a good point too, because I feel like 5-10 years ago, like you weren't seeing everybody's wedding in your face, and now you're seeing all of these things. So you kind of compare and you're like, oh my gosh, wait, like they did that at their wedding. Like, should we be doing that? And you kind of just, again, like comparison is a thief of joy.
Yeah.
So I think it's really comes down to just what you and like your partner want at the end of the day, and not really comparing to what you're seeing all over social media, because those people obviously have different budgets, different like visions. So just taking it down to what you guys want as a team.
Yeah, I could definitely like emphasize on that too, because I feel like there's so many like, you know, those small like TikTok trends or like Instagram trends where it's like so many people have sent me like little ideas, and then I'm like, oh my God, okay, this idea, but then I really wanted this idea, but then it's like, okay, but should I do this and then that? And then it almost gets a little bit too overwhelming where it's like, okay, but if you don't know their budget.
Yeah.
So maybe they wanted to do like $10,000 of florals, and then you go to do it and you're like, oh my God, I can't afford that. And then you almost feel bad for not being able to do that. So I think there's like, the internet definitely needs to like calm down a little bit on that.
The internet is creating bridezillas from all of that.
Yeah, 100%. I just feel like there's like a lot of pressure, but at the same time, I also just know I'm not going to be able to afford a wedding that's being like projected at me. So I feel like I kind of distance myself from that a little bit. I'm like, okay, this is what I want, but I know I'm probably not going to be being able to like afford what's being projected at me. So it's just like humbling in a sense. I haven't done enough planning though to like really understand like all the costs associated.
I would say if you're in the early stages of your planning, what I would do is I would sit down and write a list of your non-negotiables for your big day. So whether that's I want the best photographer in the game, like I care about photos and I care about video, then you put that at the top of your budget, and then you prioritize that in terms of finance. If you're like, I don't give a shit about florals, like I could have like freaking like whatever, like baby's breath on my table or whatever, like then you know that that's going to be at the bottom, but you just have to know what your non-negotiables are. Then you know how much extra funding you have for all these little Timbit things that you're like seeing on TikTok and like all these other little trends.
Also, does anyone even notice all the like little details?
Exactly.
That's just it. Like we
You
literally,
know?
like I really wanted certain plates at our wedding because our venue offers certain plates and they're really nice, but I wanted like the classic like Italian plates, but it was going to be like pretty expensive. And I was like trying to think of all the weddings I've been to, and I'm like, do I remember the plates?
Exactly.
I'm like, no. And we're going to be in Italy, so the plates don't fucking matter.
No.
It's interesting too, because as someone who planned a destination wedding to save money and do less work, it was at the end of the day when we actually had the meeting with the coordinator on site who was responsible for planning the entire wedding of us day of. They did have the packages where you could flesh it all out. You could add the pampa grass and add the extra florals and add the beautiful chairs that you wanted. Whereas the reason why you might have went in that location in the first place is to save.
Yeah.
You could just accelerate the funds, and it could have just been exactly like what it would have been if you were to just have it here. So at the end of the day, I think it was you, Romina. I was like, should I add an extra flower? Do all my bridesmaids need bouquets? And at the end of the day, I thought, is that going to matter to me in the photos? And I'm going to be the one that's looking at them? And it didn't. So I just didn't go forward with it.
Yep.
And that was the right decision. It literally didn't matter.
There's no
Okay, I have a question for Ro and Regan. I want to know how involved were the grooms in your decisions, in the planning? Did you task them? Did you just like kind of tell them this is what's going on? Like how involved were Farzad and Zamir?
I think in the early stages, very little, because I was like doing a lot of like the communications with the different venues and different vendors. But I think towards the end, when you're really stressed and you're kind of like, it's coming down to the wire, like I'm fucking stressed. I have so many things to do, million things to like task.
You're still working a full-time
You're
job.
still, yeah, like this is not, it could be a full-time job if you wanted it to be. Then you're kind of like being realistic. Like I would give him little tasks to do here and there. I will say it's tough though, because at the end of the day, it depends like the quality of work you want done, and that's so bad to say, but like if you're like giving him a task and then you're like, this isn't that good, then you're gonna redo it, then you're gonna do it yourself. So like I would give him tasks where I'm like, I know that he's gonna do a good job on this, like not like crafty things, like I would do those, but if it's like project management, like okay, like you do the seating chart, you do the first draft, then I'll read it, like look it over, and I'll move some people around, but at least like you started it. So it just depends on how, like, I don't know, you look at the groomsmen and you're like, okay, like what task can I give them that they're not gonna like mess up at the end of the day.
100%.
Touche. Nothing to add to that.
I will say, I feel like personally, like I haven't obviously gotten into the details, but I know that Carlo's really good at finding deals. Like he's the deal finder.
Oh my God, he truly is.
Like he's so good at finding deals. So I think that like my tactic when I go into planning it is like I'll find all the options that I like. And then once I kind of have an idea of like options in terms of vibes, like if it's a photographer and I know I really like their editing style and I have like a few that I like, I'll have him like look them over and like he will do like, you know, additional research to see if he can find someone who matches the vibe. And if he can find a better deal, that's amazing. Definitely not tasking him to the artsy stuff, like the DIYs. Like that's just not.
But Carlo's gonna do music. Like Farza did all our music. And
Oh my
he'll
God,
do all your
100%.
music. So then you just give them that, and that's a big task. Like music's actually a big task.
Well, it's
like,
so important, music.
Yeah.
Like that like kills a vibe if your music's trash. And you obviously want people like on the dance floor and like enjoying the night. And if the music is just not hitting it, people are just gonna leave.
Exactly.
I had to really convince Matt for us to get a DJ, and I'm so glad I did because he thought we could literally just make a Spotify playlist and like have someone press play and pause and all this shit. And I'm like, it's so much more complicated than that. Like I think you really need a DJ.
You don't want to assign anyone to be like
Exactly.
play, pause, play. Like no, you want just the whole thing to be. I think there's like also that like conversation about like what you want to allocate your money towards. Is it food? Is it open bar? Is it a good DJ? Is it a good venue? And like that's also the pressure of like, okay, what's my top 3? And I think Chris and I have had that conversation where it's open bar. I don't know if food is like a deal breaker for us because at the end of the day, like I never left a wedding being like the food was amazing. You know what I mean? Or the food was terrible. Like I haven't been to any weddings where the food is like at the point where it's frozen. But I hope not. But at the end of the day, I'm gonna be like, we had such a good time because 1, you're with the people you love. 2, even if you're at a okay venue, like at the end of the day, you're with the people you love. Open bar, you're having a good time. And the music, like you want people to be on the dance floor. So I think the top 3 is what you really want to spend your budget on. And that should be
music for us was one of the most important pieces of the wedding. When we chose, because we also did a destination wedding, finding a DJ that we could trust and not play just like 80s music or music that catered to our parents' generation was really important. So we asked for their SoundCloud playlists. And I think we just need to, maybe unpopular opinion, like we just need to cancel music for our parents from Cha-Cha Slide
100%.
needs to be canceled from all weddings. Like,
YMCA.
I mean, okay, if you have it in there, throw it in. But like, please do not make that be the staple because those will kill the dance floor. Like, put music on that like you, your partner, that your friends like really enjoy because it's not about impressing your parents. By all means, you've probably done many decisions in your weddings to impress your parents because they are some are very involved in that whole process. So at least let the music be for you and your friends.
100%.
Also, like, I don't care if my parents and all their friends and aunts and uncles are dancing on the dance floor. My wedding is majority of my friends. I want my friends on the dance floor. My parents can go in the back, like having their conversations at the tables and like vibe out there.
And realistically, I feel like your parents are like so proud of the moment. Like we went to a wedding, like for Vic and Pat's wedding. I swear to God, like half of the time I saw like Vicky's parents or Pat's parents just talking with the best friends or the friends just because they were so proud of the moment that they're like half on the dance floor but also half like, and I feel like we're such a good group of friends where we're like talking up our friends. We're like, oh my God, like I love our friends so much, and the parents kind of feel like almost like more involved. So I feel like for them probably the music, like at the end of the day they probably just want your like they want us on the dance floor. They would rather have like a rather beautiful comment of their child than like maybe not like EDM music or whatever they want. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Our wedding's definitely going to be a rave.
Oh, I love that.
I can't wait.
God,
Halloween rave.
It has to
100% a
celebrate
rave.
you guys as like a couple, and it doesn't have to like appease everyone else. Okay, let's get into this another topic that I feel like is a controversial topic, and that's a topic of bridesmaids. Okay, guys, bridesmaids. I feel like bridesmaids.
Everyone needs a drink right now.
Drink your
Okay,
drinks,
we'll take a
guys.
shot.
Take a shot. Because I feel like this topic comes with a lot of baggage, a lot of controversy, and a lot of like headaches. No one, I feel like, has an easy time picking bridesmaids because I feel like it's essentially showcasing your friendship hierarchy to the public. It's like, these are my friends.
True. Best friends.
These are my best friends, and if you didn't make the cut, like, you're maybe not important to me. People lose friendships over bridesmaids, and I feel like we need to talk about it because it's a topic that is, I feel like, is sensitive. Like, it's a topic that brings up a lot of emotions for people. So
yeah, I feel like it was hard for me because one, my wedding is very small. So truly, like, everyone that's coming to my wedding is like our best friend and is so important to me. So I was like, either I can make all of the girls coming to my wedding my bridesmaids, or I need to make it really small. So like I chose to go like the smaller route, and I literally picked 3 people, but like realistically, like anyone that's there is like so important, so close to me. So I feel like that was hard for me to navigate because I obviously didn't want to hurt anyone's feelings.
Yes, but
yeah, it's hard. It's a hard choice.
I will say I'm actually like bravo to you, because I think that's such a good route. I think having a smaller like group of girls that you know are your ride or dies, and they're definitely not leaving your life and they're going to be there for the long run, is such a good decision. But it's also hard. I also feel it's hard, like, depending on when you get married. Like if you're getting married in your mid-20s, like you don't even really know yourself at that point, you know? And if you're like early 30s, I feel like you know who your ride or dies are at that point. Like you've just gone through the challenges with your friends. That's like a whole sidebar topic though, in terms of friendship.
That's a good point though.
yeah.
I also feel like it's such a hard conversation because now that I look back, if Chris and I would have got married in our early 20s, like let's say 20, my whole dynamic would have been completely different. Whereas now I'm turning 27, and my friend group, like it's changed a lot. But just because like I think there's just like such a bad perception of just because if you're not a bridesmaid, then you're not a friend at all. And I think a lot of people have that mentality of I'm not good enough. And that's not the case at all. At the end of the day, this is like an old way of like picking bridesmaids. Like who says that you don't have to have bridesmaids? Like what if we didn't all have bridesmaids, or what if we only had just one?
Some people aren't doing it anymore.
So people are saying, some people are saying it's chuggy, it's like out of date to do bridesmaids, and it's kind of like, do you pick your old friends or do you pick your new friends? And then there's this whole battle of like, well, they're my childhood friends, well, these are my new friends, and then you're kind of like,
hard.
I feel like not having them at all though makes it so much more complicated, because
who's spending the day with you
because
then?
Like if you obviously still want a bachelorette or a bachelor party, the guy or a girl, and if you don't put a label to it, like who is going to help you out? Well, if you still pick friends to help you, then they don't get the title of being a bridesmaid or a maid of honor or a groomsman or a best man. And if they don't get that title and then they're doing all of this work and they're not standing up at the altar, I think it just gives like this gray area of kind of weirdness. So I think it's personal preference. Like everything about your wedding is personal preference. But
also, I feel like too, when you do ask someone to be your bridesmaid or your maid of honor, like that's a lot of pressure on those people too, right? Like there's financial burden that comes with that, responsibility. So it's also like you need to make those decisions based on thinking of that too, right? Like, is this person like in a place in their life where they're able to spend time like helping me with my wedding, or
and
I
think it's also being honest of if you can't afford it, or if you just like
can you say no?
I've heard that.
You say no?
You should, and because
do you know anyone that's ever said no?
Yeah, I've known one person that has, and I think that's a lot of courage for saying, I love you and I want to be there for you, but unfortunately I just can't afford it. And that's okay, because at the end of the day, you know, you don't want to add that stress to the bride of like, I can't afford a dress, I can't afford the makeup, I can't, and not everyone is in a fine. Hannah might be making $300,000. One day you will. One day. One day. And I make $60,000, and we're on different paths, and that's okay. Where I think it's being a little bit more accepting of that as well. And I think it's also to that fact of not picking your bridesmaids too early, because you have because I've heard some people, they pick too early and then they regret it. And that's tough, because let's say you pick them 2 years in advance. You don't know what's going to happen at the end of the day. So that's also like, it's just so tricky to navigate.
Yeah. I feel like the culture needs to be less on the bride and groom in terms of like this pressure of picking their bridesmaids or their groomsmen. And it needs to be kind of just society in general, like being okay with people saying no to being in a wedding party.
And then if someone picks you, doesn't mean that you have to pick them.
or vice versa.
Depends on how close of friends they are to you.
Yeah.
I don't know if one of my like best friends, if I like say for example using Tash for an example, she
I
intentionally
never would have said no.
she intentionally chose like 4 very best friends that she's had, and then if one of those girls said no, like how would you have felt?
It depends who. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I would honestly. Be
I feel like you'd be hurt.
I
feel
would
like
be hurt.
I think I would have. I would have been like, if it was no for a financial reason, I would have been like, how can we make it work to make you comfortable?
Yes,
kind of
that's-
thing,
yeah,
You
yeah.
know, because I really want you there, and I want you to be a part of this. So, like, what could we do that would make you feel okay to say yes?
Yes.
Maybe it's just like open dialogue and conversation, like being willing to like say like I feel a little uncomfortable with this because of XYZ, mainly financial. I feel like financial is an easy way if there's like deeper lying things, and that's
I
that's
think
situational.
because too, like, we're at an age now where like everyone's getting married. Like, for example, we have like
we talk
5
about
we have 5
that?
we have 5 weddings this year.
Yes.
Like, you may very well be asked to be a bridesmaid like 5 times in 1 year, and then at that point it's kind of like, oh my God, I don't think I could afford that myself. Like, that's crazy.
Even attending 5 weddings, think about
Yeah.
you're leaving money at each of these weddings,
Yeah.
you and your partner.
Buying a
That's like-
dress, maybe
Chris and I did the math. We're attending 8 weddings, and like
This year?
This year.
Jesus.
Yeah, I know. And I did the math, and I was like, okay, let's say on average you give like a gift, like each person gives $150 to $200. I'm spending $1,600 just
On gifts.
on gifts, and
that's
like,
not even like your
bridesmaid
dress.
dresses, bridal showers.
Bridal
So
showers,
I think
gifts.
there's like, I think I just wish that we would all just like kind of take away like what it's really meant. Like, we would all should, sorry, I'm trying to put like an emphasis on just the bride and the groom rather than like trying to make it so perfect of like, I need to give $200 or I need to give $300, because now that I find back in the day you used to give 100.
Now it's inflation.
You're not going to give 100. That's
Yeah.
you can't.
Or also, do people give tangible gifts still, or is it always just cash?
I feel like it's just cash.
Honestly, I
now.
don't want a tangible gift.
If you're going to Hannah's wedding,
You're going to
PSA.
anyone that's coming to the wedding.
Don't
No,
leave a
like-
gift. I don't want a teapot.
Like
I
at
have
this
10.
point, Carlo and I have been living together for 6 years. We don't need any.
You have
house
everything you
goods.
need.
Like, we have everything we need. If anything, I'm putting on this massive party. Yeah. Please just pay for your meal. Just pay for your meal.
That's true.
I think that's old mentality though, because like Chris's mom was like, "You guys are doing a gift registry, right?" And I was like,
No.
"No, I'm sorry."
the registry
Queen,
to the
but
bank.
no." I was like, "I need some moolah," and she was like, "What? Like, I wanted to get you like the tea set or whatever."
You can
I'm
get
like,
that
Like, I'm gonna
and
sell that on
dollars.
Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah, I'm like, no, we need money
me a gift
because
receipt.
and that's like because that's back in the old days where
Yes.
people weren't living together.
The
and
China.
we- exactly. So I feel like now it's money.
No money.
Money.
Well, what
envelope.
about like bridal showers? Do you think money for bridal showers?
No, I
as
feel
well?
like
No.
gift.
I think bridal shower is more like sentimental. It's more intimate, and it's just the girls. I feel like a cute gift, and usually you're only inviting like the most
Yes.
important women in your life to celebrate you as a bride. And I think like giving a sentimental gift or something that
Yes.
has thought behind it is really nice for a
think so
bridal
too.
shower.
Me too.
But for a wedding, it's like you're here, very least pay for your meal. I'm giving you open bar.
Yeah,
You
it's a
know?
party.
For my
Exchange.
yeah, for my bridal shower, I told Chris and I've told Tash
Oh
already.
my
the
God,
idea.
guys, listen to this.
Okay,
What
so
is this?
for my bridal
up.
shower, instead of being showered with gifts, I thought we would go to Calypso, the water park, and we would just like get
showered.
get showered
Take a shower.
with a water park and then we could just spend the us or like bottles there with all the children.
But like you'll wear a white little bathing suit with a little
exactly
veil.
like
Wait,
what I don't want
The children are
I don't
gonna be
want
like-
gifts. I just want like to spend the day with you guys. I
love
thought that was
that.
instead of like a splish splash with gifts, a splish splash in the
Splish splash
In the lazy river.
in the lazy river. We're gonna spend all day there.
Love that.
I'm gonna get great burn.
Oh my God, I love that so much.
Also,
Hottest group there.
one thing I'm realizing though from this discussion is like how weddings are becoming more and more like unconventional. Like there's obviously like traditions to it, but like screw like the conventional like little traditional like points of a wedding. Like you don't have to do it cookie cutter. You can like make it your own thing.
Make it your own. And also like going back to like the financial burden of like attending all these weddings. At the end of the day, I feel like we're only going to be in this point of our life once where all of our friends are getting married.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to get married. and some people might get a divorce. Let's be honest.
And then married again, maybe.
Married
in,
again,
20
maybe.
years.
But then,
And then
like,
there's babies
kids. So
and
then
baby
we're gonna
showers.
look back and be like, oh, I wish I went to that wedding, or like, oh, I wish I went to that bachelorette. Like now everyone's married and like it's done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like the money will come back.
I do have a question for the married ones. I know this is your podcast, but I'm taking over.
Oh my God,
I'm asking the questions now. What's one thing you would have changed, or what's the one thing that you absolutely adored out of your day, the day of?
Ooh.
So
take the
let's
mic.
start first with one thing that you would have changed.
2 things I would have changed.
Oh, spicy.
We thought about it a lot as someone, like a couple who did a destination wedding again, is that we wish we would have showed up a day before all of our guests arrive at the resort. So we showed up a little bit later than everyone, and it was very chaotic to show up and everyone being there already. We wish we could have greeted the guests instead of the other way around. So something to consider if you want a destination wedding. Second thing was that because it was a destination wedding and we didn't necessarily like leave the guests, we were all still in the same resort. After the wedding and we had a couple minutes of alone time, we were very hurried back to hang out with everyone at the bar. And I wish we just continued having a little bit of alone time for the rest of the night. So yeah, I think it was just, I wish we had our wedding and then just stayed in for the rest of the night instead of go back out. So that was small little regret, but whatever.
Yeah.
And then what's the one thing that was like the best?
The best thing about the wedding was choosing to do destination because we had much more than that single day to celebrate ourselves and receive love from everyone that loved us. We got to, of course, like have that day that was all about like celebrating our love, but then we also got to enjoy the wedding, which is one of the highlights of the whole experience, was that it was just not one day.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. Okay, I'm trying to think. So 2 things I would probably change, and one was kind of before the wedding itself, was I probably would have asked for more help. I feel like I really just did a lot of it on my own, especially like the planning and stuff. And I just feel like I wish I got more help from others, and I like tasked more things to my friends, especially like my bridesmaids, my maid of honor. I feel like I wish I'd like been like, hey, I really need help with this, instead of being like, I can take on everything myself. Like I can just do it. And then the other thing I would have changed, I would have probably picked my bridesmaids closer to the date of my wedding. We ended up getting delayed because of COVID. So originally we were getting married in 2 years from the date that I got engaged, which is 2018, which feels like forever ago now.
Yeah.
And then it was supposed to be 2020, so it was 2021. So it was out of my control, but I picked my bridesmaids thinking it was going to be 2020. Ended up being 2021. A lot happened during the pandemic.
Yeah.
You just like
Find out your real friends.
Yeah, and like you're in the lockdown. It's just like it was a different time, and I just feel like it was kind of out of my control, but definitely feel like I probably wish I had picked them closer to the date. The best part of my wedding, I feel like I was really happy that we kept it very traditionally Persian. I feel like looking back, like I'm just very grateful that we just kept like the little traditions that Persian people do in their culture, and I like can look back, show my kids that. Like I was just like very happy that we didn't just go the traditional route. And just doing a first look, like for any brides that are like thinking about maybe doing a first look, I really liked it because we got to just have that intimate moment, just us two, before we like you're getting
Before the show.
Yeah, before the show. You're getting thrown into this event and everyone's like, oh my God, and you're like surrounded by all these people. So it was like 5 minutes of like, oh my God, like, are we fucking doing this? Holy shit. Like, and it's just like fun, you know? And it's just like a fun moment, just you two. You get to take pictures and videos, and yeah, it's just a fun day. You're gonna have a great time, guys. It's honestly the best day. It's so fun. It's so
my
nice.
gosh.
It's so much fun.
That was a really good question, Shauna.
Yeah.
Should I like join the Saturday Babe
Yeah.
New
Mario.
co-host.
I love it. We can do another episode after you guys all get married, and we'll do another like
that would be
episode
good.
to see
Ooh,
like
that'll be a good
do you have any
one.
new advice like now
Yes.
that you guys are married?
Yeah. What pressures do the grooms feel? I feel like honestly for Matt, it's just making sure that I'm fucking happy.
I think they did the hardest part for them in their eyes, which was proposing.
Yes.
So true.
I feel like as soon as they propose, it's kind of like, well, have fun.
Matt's literally said that. He's like, I did my part. He's like, you have fun with this. And I'm like, honestly, thank you. Yeah. I'll take it from here, sir.
I feel like this is like another story, but I almost found the box.
Tell the story. Tell the story.
Okay, like talking about pressure. So, my mom was coming over. Like, I'll keep it short. My mom was coming over like to watch Milo, and I had all these perfumes, and she always just comes over and sprays like these $300 perfumes on her. So I was like, I gotta like put away these perfumes, hide my perfumes from this girl. She steals all my stuff. So I go in this one drawer. Like Chris is in a meeting. I go in this one drawer in his office. I'm like, I have 6 perfumes, $1,800 worth of perfume. I'm like, so I open this one drawer with all my perfumes. He comes over, runs,
Middle of a meeting,
runs, slams a drawer, looks at me. He goes, "Get the fuck out of here." I say, I'm
what about my perfumes?
I'm so sorry. I like drop all my perfumes. I call my mom right away. I'm like, I'm getting engaged right tomorrow.
Book the nail salon, baby.
Yeah. My nails were white. I was ready to go. But honestly,
Shauna's like, Hannah, do I pack a white dress?
And I packed
Come over. I'm packing my bag.
2 white dresses, bitch.
baby.
I packed. But the pressure, he definitely was like, you made me sweat so much for 5 months. You were talking about getting engaged. Then you find almost the ring, which like I've played dumb. I'm like, oh no. I knew. And then he proposes and he was like, I've been sweating for 6 months. I've probably lost 10 pounds because of you. And I'm like, I'm so sorry, sweetie. Like, why didn't you hide it in your hockey bag?
Somewhere else.
He hid it in his sock drawer. So
my
yeah,
God.
I get the
Classic
pressure. They have that pressure. We have the pressure of the wedding.
It's a much longer pressure that we have.
Ours is years.
Much harder.
Much harder. You
More
picked your ring. Good
coordination.
job. You knew what I wanted.
Their pressure is like, oh, it's cute. Like, your pressure.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God. Okay. I think we should just end on the topic of like, so you put so much pressure on this big day. Okay. You have this big day. And then it's like the feeling after the big day. Like, how did you feel the day after your wedding? And it's kind of a question just for us. And then also, okay, it's a lot of pressure on this big day, but then you have to maintain this like healthy relationship after the wedding, throughout the wedding process of planning it. And so it's kind of like, I think we need to talk about that a little bit more of like, it's not just this wedding, it's like your relationship after the wedding.
Yeah.
So
what do you think, guys?
well, how did you feel the next day? Because we were all still there with you, which was fun.
Yeah, the next day was amazing. I think following that, it's kind of, you have to reset expectations on what you see in your relationship. Like, what roles do I need you to play, or what expectations do I have of you, and what are we going to do with our finances, and what are our goals that we have together? I didn't think that getting married would change like my whole perspective of our relationship the way that it did, and it did. And even a year later, it is still kind of like we're still working through that, and I expect it to happen with you the same way, because you're not boyfriend and girlfriend anymore. You're like, you are a couple and you are a unit, and you really want like them to see, well, you both want to be on the same page with everything.
I think finance is a big topic too, is like, you guys are now like this partnership. It shouldn't be like, I paid for this and you paid for that and I paid for this and you paid. Now it's like, we paid. Like, it should be a unit. Like, you guys are together. Whether that's you guys have your separate bank accounts and you have like a joint one, that's fine. But I do think like, you didn't just get married to get married and you're just boyfriend and girlfriend still living the day-to-day that you were before. It has changed. Like, you guys are now a unit. Everything you buy from this point on, unless you sign like some kind of different prenup, like, it is now yours together. So these are things you need to talk about.
I will say, like, Chris and I are still like, even we've been together for almost 7 years now. It's even after like the wedding, I think people maybe just dating or after the wedding is to keep dating each other. It's also a big thing. Like, just keep dating each other and set up dates. And I feel like sometimes you're like, oh, I got married, I did the big thing. Ask your girlfriend or ask your wife to a nice date, bring flowers, like, keep dating each other. And I think that maybe a lot of people might lose that kind of like sense
like
of
the romance.
Exactly.
Like, keep still
dating,
spicy.
keep spicy. Like,
Oh my God.
things.
I completely agree with that. Even though like I'm obviously not married yet. Carlo and I have been together for almost almost 10 years now. And even like the past few months, I'm like, we actually need to carve out time at least once a month,
especially
to go
when you live together
and do something together, because you get really caught up in the routine, especially when all your friends are getting married and you're like, this summer I'm doing these weddings, this summer I'm doing this, then I'm going on this trip, then I'm going to see my friends doing this. I feel like you kind of start almost losing a sense of like, this sounds aggressive, but like a sense of like your own life a little bit, because you are prioritizing a lot of people.
It's like, what are we doing?
Yeah, which isn't a bad thing, but I think like you really do need to be like, okay,
Bring it back
we
to
need
each other.
we need to prioritize each other, whether that be like going to the gym together, going and doing a date night, going on a little weekend trip somewhere, doing an actual trip, like whatever works with your schedule. But I just think like relationship maintenance is like really important. And yeah, I think a lot of people lose sight of it when you're in the day to day and just like busy doing stuff.
Yeah.
100%. Mic drop on that,
Dude,
you guys.
oh my God, you guys are killing it. We definitely are gonna have you guys back on to talk about some other stuff.
I also just want to say I'm so fortunate to have friends that are one like married and then also like engaged, to be able to share like this process with and like talk to about all of this. So I'm just like super thankful for you guys.
Love you.
We're
Love you
super
so
happy.
much.
Tash is getting married soon. Italy, baby.
Let's go.
Vegas.
Vegas, Italy.
Any closing advice for any like brides that are listening that are like freaking out right now in the planning process? Like any like closing remarks? Like what
I
advice?
say personally, have fun with it. Like I know we just talked about how stressful things are, but Chris and I have actually had like date nights where we crack open a bottle of wine, we get a little tipsy, we play a playlist, we like kind of talk about what we want and what we don't want. And that's also the part of like kind of dating where you're like, okay, this is like why I'm doing it with this person, because I can do whatever. I could literally plan to go pick up rocks with Chris and crack open a bottle of wine. Like, what are we doing to go pick up some rocks, you know? And that's like where I'm like, don't stress. You're going to get there. You're going to get to the finish line and just enjoy it with your partner, because it's in a lifetime experience.
Yeah.
I love that.
I feel like my advice is more with a proposal, because I think because Carlo and I were together for so long, I had been expecting it for a really long time. And I think that goes for any girl that's been dating for several years, and like you're expecting it and you're seeing everyone around you getting proposed and getting married and having kids. I think looking back, if I could tell myself anything, it's gonna happen. They love you. Be patient. Don't be hard on them. It's a big friggin' move for them to do, to propose to you. One, they have to pick out a ring. They want the ring to be beautiful in comparison to everyone else's rings. They want to make sure that the way they do it is meaningful. So it's like, just be easy on them and be easy on yourself.
I love that. I love that. I think my advice would be like, for the actual day itself, is at the end of the day, when it's your wedding day, you've done everything you can to that point. So if there's going to be bad things that happen on your day, like there's going to be some fuck ups that happen. There's going to be things that don't go the way that it has been planned. And I think at that point, you just let it go. You have the best day that you can, and you don't stress, because no one's going to notice it. And like, there are going to be some things that maybe don't go the way that you planned it. But at the end of the day, just like have the best day that you can, and tell everyone else that they can do those things. Like, don't be doing things on the day of your wedding. Like, there were things that I remember got messed up on my day of my wedding, and I didn't even know about them because my bridesmaids and groomsmen figured it out. So, like, that's what I would say.
Wow. Yeah. I think I would say that you don't have to follow all the traditional stuff that happens in weddings. Like, everybody's situation is different. So for example, like there are things in my wedding that like I just won't be able to do, like that are very traditional, and at the end of the day, like you get to make your own traditions and you get to do what you want to do. So just do what feels right to you, and that's it.
Screw the traditions.
Yeah, screw the traditions.
Screw the traditions.
Yeah. That's what the bride says. That's a mic drops. Thanks for tuning in with us for a little Saturday mini, even though it's kind of like a Saturday medium at this point, but it was worth it.
I feel like we have like another like 45 minutes. Yeah. So, like,
you know, we're going to be chatting so much about this once the camera goes off too. We have so much more to say.
Sorry, we have juicy topics we can't discuss with you.
Okay,
all right,
we love you guys.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for coming.
It's Saturday.
It's Saturday.
Mic drop.